Loquacious libations, here we are. We're not live still.
No, because we honestly haven't had time to really kind of
Right.
figure the shit
Yeah.
out. So,
But I mean, I'm kind of stumped. Like I said, we did a speed test that last time we tried to go live, and then it fell flat on us. And that's the second time that's actually happened because we tried to do that on a Wednesday one night and hit the same barrier.
we're at the point of just calling Gok, G-O-K. God only knows. All right, let's just get right to the booze because
Absolutely.
I could use some booze too.
I could use, and we are technically here on the air.
There you go.
Oh, we're gonna flash tonight.
Oh,
A couple of flashes over here.
um,
We're getting some of the bullshit out of the way before the bartender.
yeah,
Yeah. All
typical
right.
of us.
So what you got for us?
We're having a Revolver tonight. Relatively new drink, but I'm making a couple things that are changed. The Revolver is supposed to be, theoretically, it's a bourbon cocktail.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be made with bullet bourbon. Get the pun.
Yep.
But I don't have any bullet bourbon because I'm not a huge fan of bullet bourbon. They make great rye though. So I'm doing the tried and true. I have been looking. Anybody out there in Florida, if you run across this, but the 8-year age stated bourbon, which was supposed to be coming out nationwide in April, it's June. I haven't seen it in Florida yet. I'm continuously asking. Nobody seems to have it yet. So I'm very disappointed, Mr. Russells, all the Russells. Your distributors are slacking on you. Okay. But it's a really easy. This is a Manhattan riff. If you're a coffee lover, I chose Tia Maria because it's my favorite coffee liqueur. But we also have some Kahlua.
We actually have some Kahlua down here that you can.
If you can make it with any coffee liqueur, I like Tia Maria because it's a little sweeter and it kind of sweetens up this cocktail.
Ooh, we're gonna have to try a Beam Me Up Scotty with.
Well, that works for me.
sometime.
But here, what's interesting about this is it's not a typical 2-to-1. It's 2 ounces, half an ounce. Orange bitters, orange coin. I'll call it a coin, and we're going to espresso oil on it. And one of the things that I do 2 things different from the way that this was created. This was created out in San Francisco. It didn't get popular until about 2005 when the guy that created it, Joe something, I forget his name, went from the bar he created that over to Bourbon and Branch, which was Dale DeGraff's was working.
A bartender named Joe.
Yeah, that's his real name.
Well.
Anyways, that's where the gained popularity, and then a lot of people. This is a really easy drink to make. So, but I do 2 things different. The orange oil should be flamed, which I can't stand that taste.
Right.
So I mean,
I'm with you on that.
yeah, the burnt orange is not. I mean, it's not a bad flavor, but I just don't particularly like it as much as I like just the cleanness of the orange oil on top of the booze. And then I also add a cherry, which this drink doesn't necessarily call for, but if you're having a Manhattan riff, you gotta kind of have it.
Absolutely. When it comes to burnt orange, I prefer mine in Crayola.
Okay.
What, a Marine that can't appreciate a crayon joke?
Yeah, no, of course.
I have no military affiliation whatsoever, so I get away with that a little bit.
Besides, when all else fails, that was dinner.
Right?
All right.
I've known some other military folks over the years
That would say the
it's a lot
same
of
thing.
fun to hear y'all go back and forth with that shit. I'm looking forward to this. You know I like a good Manhattan anyway.
Yeah, it's not my favorite drink, but it's a good drink. It really it's tasty. That's a good way to put it. Ooh, I almost went over on that, and I did spill a little. But here, 2 ounces of bourbon. Whoa, fucking A. Do I suck? 2 ounces of bourbon.
This in a while.
Yeah. I need a bar rag.
Let me see if I can find you something.
And a half an ounce, just a half an ounce of the coffee, the Tia Maria. Give it a good 30-second stir. And this is typically served up, but you can serve this on the rocks also.
A little short for a bar rag, but that'll work.
If you'd like. Yeah, well, it's smelling like booze in here.
That's not a bad thing. I mean, you know, we are supposed to be in a bar, technically, kind of.
Kind of, sort of. All right. My little Nick and Nora's. Right to the top.
There we go.
And press the orange oil on there. Rim the glass. There, you can see the oil floating right on the top. Yep. Be very careful because it's very full.
Yep. I'm going to leave it right there until you get yours. Once we get a little bit out of it, we'll show it to the camera there, because that is a pretty drink. Yep, I see that oil.
Yeah.
Especially since I've got the blue above us tonight here. You can see it fluoresces a little bit, almost. Not really fluoresce, but yeah.
Yeah, it's blue light. It's like the blue light poster we got behind us.
Yep.
There we go. There. See? It only took me one drink to get the groove back.
There you go.
All right, let's do that. This. Stir. Press.
I got a little extra from the spill. That's why yours is almost to the top.
Yeah. Well, here, I could probably.
Yes.
Yeah, I pretty much got it all. All right.
All right. Cheers, sir.
Cheers. Cheers to you.
Cheers to you. Careful tonight.
Yeah.
Cheers to y'all.
This is a little dainty cocktail. Very elegant glasses. My favorite. Mm-hmm. This is actually my favorite. These are my favorite glasses because they got a great backstory.
That's nice. The coffee is light, but it comes through.
Yeah. Very popular drink. Especially if you're a coffee lover, it's not overwhelmingly coffee.
Right.
But
That's tasty.
It marries well with the orange. Mm-hmm. And I've had it with a cherry and without a cherry.
The cherry complements it too. I was just noticing that. It took a minute. But
yeah,
I just
it's very faint, but it really complements the drink. Mm-hmm. And that's why I say I add that.
Yeah, that's a very nice little cocktail. Nice and warm too.
And now here, another. Yeah, you get a little hug. The other thing that we haven't talked about this in a while.
Okay.
When we first started doing this, we talked about, hey, if you follow us along, we're gonna do a lot of different cocktails, and if you don't have a bar built, you can piecemeal. Mm-hmm.
Like this.
Yeah, and you'll build your bar out with different liqueurs and different types of whiskeys and different gins. We did a bunch of gin and
syrups. I've got syrups in here that I didn't used to keep in the fridge.
So what's interesting is this is now I had to go buy this bottle today, which I got on sale because I checked at the big warehouse, then the little warehouse.
Right.
And they're both basically 50 cents apart.
Right.
And then I called Winn-Dixie and said, hey, do you have this in stock? Mm-hmm. The guy goes, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's on sale right now.
Sweet.
$2 cheaper.
Awesome.
So I'm like,
Win.
okay. Yeah, Winn. And I said,
What's
I got
the brand?
Tia Maria.
Tia Maria.
Which is there's
Strawberry
like three.
coffee
There's
liqueur.
3 coffee liqueurs that are really popular: Tia Maria, Kahlua, and then the black something black. And the one that's something black is really coffee. I mean, you get a real coffee flavor from it.
Okay. Now, see, this is rum and coffee liqueur with the Kahlua. And that's just cold brew
Yeah,
coffee
cold brew
liqueur.
coffee liqueur.
Vanilla and Arabica. They're both Arabica 100%. Very cool.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting though is
like I said, we might have to try that shooter that I was telling you about.
that's one of the things is you will see this come back around. Michael and I were talking. Hatter and I were talking. Sorry.
No worries, man.
Yeah.
I'm out there on all the social media with it, so
Yeah.
it doesn't matter with me.
We were talking prior to, and he mentioned it's called the Beam Me Up Scotty, and he's like, "Oh, that's what goes into that." I said, "Well, there's a great case for us to talk about." It clicked in my head. We will circle back to different things. How many times do we circle back to Benedictine, and we circled back to the Amaro now, and we circled back to we haven't circled back to a couple things, but they'll come back around.
Right. Of course, with the Manhattans, we circled back to the Vermouth a couple of times.
Yes. Well,
But,
what's interesting too is like the summer drinks that I mean it is because it's the weather's been tangent. The weather has been exceptional.
it was better today than it has been. I didn't roast.
I've noticed it. Well, the other morning when I had the early morning, I walked outside and I was like, "Damn it, man!" I checked the temperature was 65.
Yeah, this morning it was nice and cool out there, and I think it's going to be a little cool in the morning too. But it's supposed to be another hot one tomorrow. We've been having July and May here.
Yeah, we've had normally it doesn't get to be in the mid 90s here until halfway through June.
Mid June usually.
Yeah, and that's when the humidity really comes in, and then you sit there and we've said it many times before. Oh, 120 days. You get 120 days of just it's
almost perfect weather.
Fucking hot and humid and
yeah.
But it's kind of
perfect if you like a pressure cooker or blast furnace.
It's the flip side of where I grew up.
Right.
There it was like you get to November and all of a sudden it's like, okay, it's 120 days of fucking 0 degrees.
Yep.
And snow. Yep. And then shovel and then it warms up to 20 and then snows, it's ass off, and then you got to shovel everything, and then 2 days after it snows, it's 25 below 0.
Right.
So here it's set your clock at 4 o'clock because you hear thunder,
right.
Yep. Which I mean today.
Yeah.
But it started about 2. It was a little early.
Now I know we've got some Saharan haze coming in to dampen some of that, but
and did you see there's also as far south as Atlanta smoke from the shit in Canada.
Canadian, yeah. I've seen some incredible pictures. iPhones just have incredible cameras anyway.
Yes, they do. Yes.
And Android, they got some of the technology, from Android here and there, but they've been the ones who really perfected that high resolution pocket camera. No doubt about that. But I saw some pictures that people had taken from Georgia, and it was like almost cinematic quality pictures, the shading of the sun and everything. But it was just the regular phone, the unfiltered.
Speaking of pictures, I don't know if you've noticed. We're going to tip into the craziness a little bit.
Yeah.
Have you noticed any of the stuff on the internet that's going around from different parts of the world? Pictures of the sun.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
But where it's like orange outline and
that's some of these pictures that I'm talking about look like that.
It's very interesting, and I don't know that it's a woo-woo thing because it just could be an atmospheric thing, a real atmospheric thing, but shit's changing.
Here, I'll go full weird on you. I'm just gonna say the name of the movie, and you'll get it right away. Highlander 2.
Ooh. Well, but the first movie was fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Unparalleled.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
hokey,
Yeah.
It's a little weird having a French guy play a Scotsman and a Scotsman play an Argentinian,
Right.
was he? But still, awesome movie. One
Awesome
of my
movie.
favorites.
Awesome movie.
And Clancy
Yeah.
as Kurgan.
Yes.
Holy crap.
That's the first film I ever saw him in.
Yeah.
And I was just like, when I saw him show back
Mr.
up.
Krabs.
Yeah, when I saw him show back up in Shawshank, I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
he's a great actor. You
Yeah.
don't realize it.
Yeah,
And if you didn't know, if you don't know who we're talking about,
What's his last name again? It's Clancy is his first name. I can't remember his last
he
name.
was also in that movie.
Always played great villain.
He kind of plays the hard ass or the bad guy a lot of time, and he
Mr. Krabs.
Mr. Krabs. But really good. I've seen him in many interviews. Seems like a really personable
I hate that
guy
I can't
too.
remember
You
his
know.
name, but that's your typical bar stuff right there, not being able to remember shit.
Yeah,
while
no
you're
kidding.
Sitting around drinking. But yeah, anyway, where we
We're talking about
we go.
we're talking about the different photos of the sun.
Oh yeah. But Highlander 2. Do you remember not the first one, the second one that was just way the fuck out there? One of the worst movies of that era.
Yeah, no. I went to see it because I liked the first one so
Yeah.
much, and I gotta be honest with you, I don't recall it that well.
Okay, well, Michael Ironside was in it.
Okay.
He was one of their race.
Okay.
Okay, so Connor becomes an old man. You know, he got the prize in the first movie, ages. Well, he has now come up because, you know, he got the prize, all the knowledge and everything. So he's come up with a shield for the Earth to prevent global warming.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, 1990 something.
Yep. Yeah, no.
So
They always tell us what they're going to do.
pictures of the sun.
Yeah. No,
Who knows?
there's a lot of stuff too that's going around right now because of those pictures talking about that the Earth and the moon and the sun are both local to the Earth, and it's why is this stuff? Why is this stuff?
The flat earthers have been nuts the past few months. I don't know what it is, but
I'm wondering if they're seeding consciousness.
right.
Here, if you'd come up and tell me today that the Earth is not flat and is not round, it's a trapezoid. Okay?
Okay.
I would
We're
be
living
like,
in a bizarro world. Okay.
I would be like,
All right. You
yeah,
say so.
I mean, you know my stance on it. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, what difference does it make? The bees are still going to get up and pollinate, hopefully. My
I don't know, if
dog's
it was
my
that
dog's
kind of
got to
shape,
go
it might
outside
be a
and
little more
pee.
difficult.
What?
If it were that shape, it might be a little more difficult for the sun to rise in the right place and all that.
Well, no, it's because it
We'll just all be a little more angular.
yes. Who knows? The other thing too that the thing that was going the big thing that I saw talk about craziness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I haven't been making many comments on X lately.
I've noticed.
Yeah, I've just
Nor have I. Yeah,
I've
obviously.
slowed down because I've got other shit to do.
Right.
Okay, I've been busy. You know what I forgot to put in this thing, and I just realized it.
Where'd you the bitters? Damn.
I'm like, there's not enough orange in this. Here.
It's still tasty, but
Fuck
it.
it.
In stereo.
Couple drops. We'll
There
stir
you
it
go.
in.
Yep, you got the stir right over there. So yeah, I think that's a good place to start the actual craziness roundup. Craziness of forgetting the ingredients.
That's a little better. I didn't give it. Drops are. I mean, here. 2 dashes is what you're supposed to have, but it would
That
get
woke it up a
diluted.
little bit, yeah.
Yeah, it changes. I'm like, there's something missing here, and then all of a sudden I look, and this orange cap is staring at me. I'm like, oh, I'm a fucking dork. I'll tell you.
It's another fine mess you've gotten us into.
Okay, I'm going back to where I was.
Go back to where you were.
I made two comments this week that got a lot of traction.
All right.
One shocked me because it got retweeted by somebody that I.
Was that the Apparel Lips Now comment?
Oh, you like that one? You started laughing at that one.
Oh, I died when I saw that.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
And
you can see it on X.
you can see it on
At
X.
Loquacious Live is our address there. Real quick, social media. Facebook, at Loquacious Libations. YouTube, at Loquacious Libations. And that's where we're broadcasting on Wednesday nights right now. And, of course, Instagram, at Loquacious
_ libations, which we don't do shit there.
Right. We're still
Because
trying to get our
I'm-
presence on Rumble at some point. I started us a Discord, but haven't followed through with that yet. I'm still building it.
We had, here, this is one of these things. Your eyes are bigger than your stomach,
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how it's been, because, the truth is we had a great following on Facebook, and then we got hammered on Facebook. Bethany Frankel just,
That was Clown World.
yeah, well, Clown World had Bethany Frankel doing that. The bikini show is going on in Miami right now. Mm-hmm. The swimwear week in Miami is this week, and Bethany Frankel, for those, I think she does
Who that was.
Housewife. Mm-hmm. Well, she's 54 years old, and
My age, yeah. A little younger.
well, what's interesting is that there was a question was should somebody that age be doing this?
Right.
And I'm like, if
Why
you
not?
look like that, I mean,
Why
she
the hell
keeps herself in great shape.
Oh, yeah.
She works her ass off to keep it that way too. I'm 100%, and she might get a little help from doctors, but okay, I can, you still gotta, hit it and get in the gym,
Right.
if you're gonna look like that. So I give her credit. More power to her.
All right. Let's see what we got here. I was looking for your posts.
Oh.
What was the one you were about to mention?
The one that I was going to mention was somebody was alarmed at they showed a chart. Okay, they said no, it's not Nvidia and it's not Tesla, it's the national debt. That's the one. Okay, and my response to it was, it's a Ponzi scheme.
Yep.
It's what it is. If you don't understand why I'm saying that, because it absolutely 100% is a Ponzi scheme. And I'll demonstrate this.
All right. With this, you need it?
No, I don't need it. It's very easy to explain.
All right.
Okay. In 1913, on December 23rd, 1913, the Federal Reserve was created unconstitutionally in Congress. They didn't have a quorum, but they passed the bill. And Woodrow Wilson signed it into law because he was promised a massive, at the time, $100,000 campaign contributions by the people that created. Now, if you've never read The Creature from Jekyll Island, it's a book. It's all about the creation of the Federal Reserve. Read the book, gain the knowledge, you'll understand what I'm talking about then. So, basic, simple math, okay? The government turned over the responsibility of printing and managing the money to a private banking institution called the Federal Reserve. If you don't understand that there's nothing federal and there are no reserves at the Federal Reserve, then you need to read the book. Okay.
What happened to Doge going into Fort Knox?
Don't get me on that
saying.
tangent right now.
Just saying.
Okay. We're going to do a little exercise.
Yes, sir.
So the Federal Reserve printed the first dollar. It was the first dollar in existence. It's the only one. It's called the Federal Reserve note. It no longer was U.S. Treasury notes. It was the Federal Reserve note.
Right.
And they printed it, right? We changed the money system. They printed Federal Reserve notes. Okay, so they said to the government, we'll manage your money, and we're going to let you get this, and we will give you these dollars, and you're going to give us bonds at interest. Okay, so here it is. I'm going to loan you, the American public, this dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go.
Okay.
You owe me $1.05.
Right.
But that's the only dollar that exists on the planet. How can he give me $1.05?
Well, that maybe at that time you might have had pennies that were laying around.
No. It has to be Federal Reserve notes.
Right.
You can only pay me back in Federal Reserve notes. I don't accept it. This is the only one that exists.
Coin is not Federal Reserve.
This is the only one that exists.
Right.
How can the national debt, if you paid off the national debt, this wouldn't exist. There would be no money. That's what nobody gets. So, for there to be more money, you always got to print more. And it's a Ponzi scheme. Got to pour more into the top all the time. All the time. All the time. To grow the economy. And then the Bretton Woods Agreement in 1944. This became the reserve currency of the world. And then in 1971, Nixon took us off the gold standard, and this became fiat currency. It's backed by nothing. It's created out of thin fucking air. They reach up their ass and they pull it out and say, here, now you owe me interest.
Right.
It's a Ponzi scheme. It will never go away until it is broken.
Right.
And it will be broken, and I think it's going to break sometime during this Trump administration.
We'll see.
End of story.
Yeah.
That's your lecture for the week. There will be a test on Friday.
Is that a soapbox down there?
Yes. Well, here.
I like his soapbox.
Now, I did not look close enough.
Right.
Because this particular individual that retweeted me has he retweeted it and or reposted it, I guess. Now, I didn't look. He's got a name, but there's about 10 million accounts with his name on it. So I don't know if it was the real guy or not. Chances are it wasn't the real guy, but if it is, it went to 100 million people. We'll see the repost.
Right.
And it wouldn't surprise me if he reposted it, and I don't want to say who it was.
I see.
I don't think it's the real account, though. Because I didn't get enough notifications. If it would have went to him, my notifications would have went bonkers today. I had one about 3 weeks ago that's his mom, his real mom's account, did repost one of my comments. And I had like literally 10,000 notifications.
That's not him.
Taja. Taja's so funny. If you're not following this lady, she's a pilot, younger woman. She's Finnish. She's extremely funny. I find her very humorous, but she's a very intelligent girl. And we don't direct message each other, but she comments on my comments all the time, and she'll have little comments, and I give her little comments too. So I kind of know who she is.
That would not be.
And we follow each other.
That would not be the comment that I referenced earlier, by the way.
Okay. She's funny.
That was your picture of AOC and Crockett that you made. That.
Yeah. Somebody said if they had a picture of AOC and Jasmine Crockett standing next to each other, smiling, nice congressional picture, and said if this was a movie, what would it be called?
Right.
And I said, A Pair of Lips Now. And I did get some notifications on that one.
Oh, I bet you did. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, all kind of crazy crap's been happening.
Yeah, no, lots of Nazi rhetoric all of a sudden.
Oh, man, the guy in Colorado, this bozo, and I won't even do like the news media does and dignify him.
I don't want to blow these people up. Yeah. Not that any of our 6 followers have enough influence.
Right. But still, I mean, that's just propagating it. That's giving them the platform when you do that crap.
Right.
But the fact is, here, One of the freaking victims was a Holocaust survivor. 88 years old.
It's like, what the hell?
Right. He shows up with 17 Molotov cocktails and a bug sprayer on his back filled with gasoline. Wearing an orange gardener's vest and carrying flowers that he got from Home Depot. Like, looking like he was a gardener. So you talk about standing out like a sore thumb, wearing a freaking bright orange vest. Hiding in plain sight.
No, you see, you know what? Here, because I wear that kind of clothing, obviously, when I'm at work.
Right.
So I don't get run over.
Right. Maybe they put me in a black shirt. They don't care about me.
People take you for
Kidding,
granted.
Carmen.
People don't take, they take you for granted.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, that, and which
worker.
I actually like.
Yeah.
Because I'm just a schlub.
Yeah. It's he's a worker. He belongs here.
Yeah.
That's the automatic response.
Yeah. Oh, that guy's working.
Yeah. He's working on something. I don't know what, but he's working.
Yeah. He's working construction, or he's working on something.
Yeah. So he was trying to look like a gardener landscaper type. And
yeah, well, I think about that because I could walk out on a fucking tarmac anywhere and jury rig. I could put bombs in planes. Oh, what's that guy? Oh, he's a mechanic.
Should we edit this?
Yeah.
He would not really. We're just saying that's how lax shit is.
Correct.
It's just amazing that people don't take things seriously. Here, I was thinking today at the hospital, some of the security things that I see going on up there. The valet parking. There are 5 or 6 cars in a row just left there while they're waiting to get the other valets to come back and pick them up and stuff.
Yeah, no, trust me, I get it.
Stupid possibilities.
I see it all the time.
And the thing is, thanks to that open border, we are ripe for the picking.
Now, you know what kills me, though? The government buildings that I go into, okay? Most of them have a sign on all the entrances, except the ones that are open to the public, believe it or not, because that's a small section of the building. Mm-hmm. They'll say, no cell phones in this facility.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then you walk in and the people that are working there are
on their damn phone.
Mm-hmm. Now, I never carry mine in.
Right.
I don't ever want to get jammed up.
Right.
I promised somebody some pictures actually recently, and I was like, I thought the better of it because I'm just like,
Yeah, better not, just in case.
Yeah, I don't need the hassle. Sending somebody a picture is
being too active. It's aggravating me.
Oh, the changing colors. Your OCD was taking over.
I just looked down at it was flashing.
It's like, no, fuck that. It's the standard red now, anyways. Too. We got the right color.
There you go. Tangent.
Yep.
Anyway.
No, I'm like, I just thought about it, and I'm like, it's just not. It's not worth having because I wouldn't get in too big a trouble. I already know that.
Right.
But I don't even want to have the discussion.
Right.
I don't even want to have I won't do it again.
Right. Oh, speaking of that, not that I won't do it again, but this bending and stretching rules thing.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the case at University of North Carolina?
No.
Okay, so you got a person working there who had pronouns, although they were normal. It was she and her, and it was a female in this particular case. That.
In other words, it was somebody with a vagina.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, a biological female.
Okay. Very good.
Get real with it there.
Yeah.
But
I just wanted to clarify that.
So anyway,
in case any wackadoodles come across our video.
Right. There you go. So this person was a DEI advocate and was speaking to somebody who was undercover as a journalist in there. And
speaking of.
So they had a conversation with this person, and it came out that they were still promoting the DEI below the radar of the university the laws and stuff like that. And of course, now that it's been brought
Yeah,
out, that person doesn't have a job anymore.
yeah, that it's not going to go away soon.
It's ingrained right now.
It's the woke mind virus. It is a
It is.
virus.
It is.
It is a programming virus. Is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, here, soapbox. All of us, every swinging dick on this, and every human being. Sorry, Marine Corps was coming out there.
Where's the knife hand?
Yeah. No. Every human being is programmed on this whole planet. Is programmed. You're programmed from birth. We are programmed from birth. We're programmed by our parents because they were programmed by their parents, which were programmed by their parents. And where do people get programmed? The worst programming device that there ever has been created on this planet is the television. The television. Yeah, here I say to my dad all the time, "What, Dad? You watch the 6 o'clock news. Welcome to the 6 o'clock news. Here's what you have to think."
Right.
That's basically what it is.
Well, it's become that so much. I mean, maybe it was just as bad when I was a kid, but all these reporters,
It's always been that bad.
all these reporters that we were supposed to respect, that were out there just giving the facts and reporting with unbiased. I went to journalism classes in high school to start out with because I wanted to be in the newspaper business. So that was my thing, was truth. That was, it doesn't matter what side, truth. That's what you're supposed to do as a journalist, right?
Yeah,
And of course,
it's the furthest thing from the truth that you can possibly find.
as soon as I got out of high school, I started realizing that, okay, wait, it's skewed a little bit this direction. Wait, it's skewed a lot that direction. Well, it continues to be, wait a minute, 24-hour news cycle now? It's really skewed that direction now.
Well, no, if you think about what has happened
With a
to,
little help from Ted Turner, but anyway.
yeah, if you think about what's happened to American society, our attention span has gone from, think back to Watergate. You were really young. Do you remember Watergate?
Dude, I was standing on a stool that my great grandmother made out of grapefruit juice cans. Do you remember, like,
Yes,
the
I
Hawaiian
remember
punch?
you talked
She
about
took
that.
fabric and put yarn
Yeah.
over it and everything. I would stand on the top of that thing and I'd go, I am not a crook.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, I kind of do. I remember the memory of it, I guess you could say.
Well, that dominated the news cycle for months.
Yeah.
Months. What my question is what was really going on during that time period?
Watergate was a smokescreen.
And here,
Watergate was a way to bring Nixon down. It was, I believe he was baited into doing that, honestly.
I think it was. I think he was set up. I agree with you. I think that they needed to get him out, and I'm wondering two things.
The nattering nabobs of negativity? Is that the folks that were trying to get him out?
It could be.
Excuse me. Negativism, I think, was the actual quote there.
Yes, and I think
Spiro Agnew, by the way.
Spiro Agnew, G. Gordon Liddy fell on the sword for the people he served.
My uncle knew him.
And, I know somebody that knows him also and says he's really not a bad dude at all.
Yeah, that was the same thing my uncle said.
Yeah.
My uncle was a pilot for Eastern and ended up living in Boston.
Okay.
Boston area, Winthrop.
Yeah.
And that was where he knew Mr. Liddy from, was from up there.
Here, cycle forward 12 years, and who's the same guy who's playing the same role? Oliver North.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Petraeus, that kind of.
Oh yeah, well, here
Kinda.
I think what's gonna here. Watergate was still in the American psyche.
Right.
Is this big, huge event.
Oh.
But it's going to be a rowboat parked next to the Queen Mary when we get to where we're going.
No kidding. The scandal that's brewing right now.
Here, Trump is okay. We're still staying on the craziness.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Because
are you actually going
we-
to mention that, or are you just going to allude to it?
Well, there's two things that he posted. I think that will turn out to be absolute truth. Okay.
We'll put out a craziness warning on this one because it is kind of out there.
Well, there's two.
Yeah.
There's two.
Yeah.
He posted now a week ago. We should have covered it last week's show, but we didn't really cover any craziness.
Yeah.
And my sister, matter of fact, told me because she watched that and she's like,
"You didn't do any craziness."
She was very disappointed that we didn't cover any real stuff. Trump, we've told you there's 3 or 4 people to really follow on X or Truth Social. Truth Social, just follow Trump.
Right.
But on X, real Donald Trump, Dan Scavino, Proletario, but then Vigilant Fox does really good threads.
Right.
I'm off on a tangent.
Yep.
So, anyways,
So which one is Ariel? Is that Prometheus?
Proletario.
Proletariat.
Yes.
Excuse me, Prometheus.
That'd be a good screen name though.
Yeah, it would.
All right. Trump put out a couple of weeks ago.
Boo-boo.
All roads lead to, and then Baird Garrison did a cartoon, which he has been some very poignant cartoons, some of which have already come to pass as truth.
Right.
All roads lead to Obama. Okay. Now what did Trump? Trump put that out 2 weeks ago. Just this week, this past Sunday or Monday, Sunday I think, he put out that Biden was executed in 2020. You've been he's not really here. You have been seeing body doubles and clones and robots of Biden, and that's why the auto pen, and he's pointing to the auto pen. He's pointed to the auto pen a bunch of times. Who was the first president to use the auto pen?
I do not know.
I'll give you one guess.
Obama?
Ding!
The
You
first?
win the prize, Johnny! What does he win?
I didn't realize he was the first.
Yes. President Obama was the first to use the auto pen.
Well, I'm going to qualify that.
Now here.
He actually used the auto pen.
It was at the disposal of since the first Bush administration.
Okay.
Now, here's another thing that's really interesting, and that we're going to go into the rabbit hole a little bit, because since we kind of breached the subject with Trump's post about Biden.
Right.
There is video in the Oval Office, and there is a CIA whistleblower who was the woman that was running the clandestine operations for the CIA.
That's what I was looking for over here.
Exactly.
I'll bring
Yeah,
it
I was going to say,
forward.
bring that one up. She was running, and I can't recall her name, but there's video of her, and she's a whistleblower now, basically saying that the CIA back in the first Bush administration, meaning not W,
HW.
HW, his
92.
dad, yeah,
Well, 93 if you want to be technical, but yeah.
That she gave a briefing about the CIA's capabilities of creating disguises and how masks had gotten to the point of like television at the time. Mm-hmm. For those of you that are old enough to remember the original Mission Impossible,
right?
Of course, they would always, just like Tom Cruise in the films, they
rip it off from right here,
pull it off, and it was always Martin Landau would always be playing that part most of the time. Sometimes Peter Graves would play that part.
Right.
Anyways, she gave that briefing to the President of the United States in front of his chief of staff, which was John Sununu at the time, Casper Weinberger, and I forget the other person that was in the room, but he had, and then one of the presidential aides. She gave that as a black woman, okay, with the whole smash.
Not black face, but
full regalia, full makeup, full mask on and everything. And at the end of
Full disguise.
at the end of the presentation, she pulls it off, and she's a white woman.
Right.
And she said John Sununu almost threw up. He couldn't believe it.
Wow.
And you can find that video on X, where she is giving her testimony about, hey, and that was back in 1990, 1989, somewhere in there. So where are they now?
Right.
Well, we know where they are now. Trump just told you where they are now. Okay? And there's a lot more to that. That is a rabbit hole that is really deep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Alice
yeah.
ain't making her way out of there anytime soon.
No.
Okay? And
I can't help her with that, you know.
They're planting seeds into the consciousness of the public. Now, we'll talk about shit. I think the best thing for us to do, I was thinking about this too, because there's a lot more that we know.
Oh, yeah. That we don't say because we
because
a little bit of a platform.
Because people think we're just nuts and tune us out.
Right.
Okay, but now they just think Trump is nuts, and they go, "Oh, look at these fuckers! They're nuts too." No, I'm telling you, it's time to wake up. And here, now Ben Garrison got one thing wrong though. He said all roads lead to Obama. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of shit that leads there, but all roads really lead to the intel community and Jeffrey Epstein.
I was going to say, it ain't anybody much that you actually heard their name.
And here, I saw a meme this week, and it was really good, and it's poignant to point this out. It was a picture of JFK, the original. Mm-hmm. Okay? It was a picture of Jack Kennedy, and he's holding obviously it was a real picture of him, but the AI portion of it was him holding a placard like a little sign. And the sign read, "A lot of the people you think are dead are not. And a lot of the people you think are alive are not."
Here, the great segue for this story that I just saw and made the face about. Woman declared dead by coroner, moved to coffin. Turns out to be alive. She woke the fuck back up. Okay, they're putting us in boxes and just assuming we're dead now.
There is, people don't understand, I think, the depth. And here, at the end of the day, when all this starts to really come, it's not going to come all at once. It's getting dripped out. Drip, drip, drip. Because if it dumped all at once, society would lose their minds. Most people... Right. If Spock did the mind meld with me, okay, because I've had 15 years and I've had somebody that's very high up in the intelligence community helping me, guiding me, and allowing me to ask him questions and giving me the answers or guiding me to the answers. And it's taken 15 years for me to digest that. Actually, it's been 17 years. I was just talking to, and you know him, my guy in Arizona.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that the other day. 17 years. 17 years we've been in this rabbit hole.
We're not mentioning this on the air, but I thought you'd find that interesting. Considering the timing. FAFO? Is that kind of what that is?
Here, I guess, I mean, some of the shit that they did, I mean, I get why that guy kind of got a ship. I mean, because he was he was a trailblazer.
I do too, yeah.
I actually, if you know that story, you got to give the guy credit. Because he stood up against the machine.
Yeah.
So, anybody here, I don't care if you're on the left or the right, if you stand up against the machine and do this, and you're correct.
At qualifier, and you're correct.
Yeah, and you're correct.
Because there's a lot of shit going on like that right now that ain't correct.
No, and a lot of people don't get it.
No.
No, here, there's a line in...
Our former Department of HHS person, as an example.
Good example.
Yeah.
Very good example. There's a line...
Propagating the lie. But anyway.
There's a line in The Matrix, and it's the most important line right now. And it's where... it's the scene where Morpheus and Neo are walking in New York City, and the woman in the red dress passes by. And Neo is completely distracted. Think about that. Mm-hmm. There's so many lessons in that film. He's completely distracted. Mm-hmm. And it's intentional. Yep. Because then he turns around and it's a Smith.
Yep.
With a gun right to his head.
Yep.
Right. And then they pause it because he doesn't realize that they're not in the Matrix. They're just in a simulation on the ship.
Right.
What's interesting, and Morpheus says the line then, is these people are not ready to have their minds open to the truth.
Right.
Because and that's part of what that movie is. Neo freaks out at first. He absolutely loses his shit when he realizes the truth.
Right.
Okay, and he sees the truth.
Right.
So there's, I mean, in that movie, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You wake up in this fucking thing, and a machine grabs you by the neck and throws you in the junk.
Right.
You kind of get it when you get saved.
Yep.
But Morpheus, the character Morpheus says, we're trying to free the minds of the people, and many of them will fight to defend the system that is enslaving them.
Yes.
Because that's all that they know. They can't imagine a world that's any different from what they know.
Right.
Now, what's interesting about that movie, and it's a flip, okay? And so there's some control in that movie, is the world the real world in that movie is shit. Is absolute shit. The Earth has been destroyed. The machines have taken over. But the truth is, that is this world. And the truth is so much greater.
Right.
We have been programmed. See, I'm bringing us back.
That box right there.
Well,
it's a lot bigger and flatter than it used to be, but still
we've been programmed to be fearful, to experience lack, to live paycheck to paycheck, or have to borrow money. When the truth is, and there's so many perpetual lies. According to, I read something today that the polar ice cap, an article from 1906 in the New York Times,
right.
The polar ice cap was going to melt, and New York City was going to be 12 feet underwater within the next decade. That was printed in 1906.
And then what was it, 1970, we were going to have an ice age.
Yes.
And then it went back to the global warming thing.
Fear.
Because oil was going to destroy everything first.
And oil's going to run out.
Right, oil's going to run out. And then it was here's Aquanet.
Don't forget, oil comes from dinosaurs.
Right.
I got news for you. The Earth produces oil every fucking day.
Yeah. It ain't just dinosaurs. It's all the shit that dies.
It's everything.
Yeah, it's us.
It's the greatest recycling machine ever.
Exactly. And it's been here for millions of years already, and we ain't going to destroy it unless we blow a bomb up.
Which won't happen.
No.
That's not
going to happen.
Will never happen. Never happen. All right. The other thing that was crazy that I caught this week.
Yeah.
Speaking about oil, it's the second most abundant liquid on the planet.
Yep.
The water is the most abundant liquid.
Right.
Okay. As you've seen, the Green New Deal is absolutely collapsing. It's falling apart.
Good.
Because the people have realized that we're going to circle all the way back to the Federal Reserve and money. The people have realized that there's no control. All they want to do is control your money. They need your money. They want your money because they want you to experience lack. You don't have enough. You got to work harder to give enough. You got to trade your labor so you can pay taxes, more taxes, and more taxes.
Tax on this, tax on that. Oh, by the way, even though you did that years ago, we're going to tax it again over here.
Yes, you buy a used car. Well, the tax has already been paid by the guy that bought it when it was new, but you got to pay more taxes on the same thing. It double, triple, quadruple. I have a vehicle that my daughter drives that I'm the 5th owner.
So it's had taxes paid on it 5 times.
5 times.
Yep.
Now, it's lower every time because the asset decreases in value.
Right.
But then, here, ask yourself this. How is it, okay, there's a piece of property that's for sale in Isla Morada. It's a nice, beautiful oceanfront piece of property. Mm-hmm. It's got a cottage. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, very small cottage. Mm-hmm. It's like 1,200 square feet. But the property, I mean, it's okay. There's a point here.
He's not trying to sell it.
It's for sale, and it's the price tag on it is $6.75 million. Okay.
Yeah.
Now this house, this cottage, it's a beautiful piece of property. I think it's 2.5 acres.
Right.
Because it's got a home on it, it's six and a half or $6.75 million.
Right.
Okay. A little bit further south. It's undeveloped property. Mm-hmm. Okay? So a house built in 1936 is worth $6.7 million on 2 acres, oceanfront.
Right.
6.5 acres, undeveloped, same price.
That doesn't surprise me. Wait, how many acres was this one?
2.5.
2.5. Okay.
6.5.
Yeah. Yeah.
A used house is a used house.
Yep. Still a used house. It can be knocked down and then be made flat property and go for the price of the other one.
I think about the house that I'm living in. I can go buy a brand new house. Now I got to go out of town a little bit, but not far.
Because they can't build a single family dwelling inside Gainesville anymore right now, can you?
I don't know, but my point is I can go out of town a little far and get a brand new house. Now I won't have mature trees like I have on my property.
Right.
But for the same price that I could buy my house that was built, it's a little bit older than I am. Mm-hmm. That's got plumbing issues and is small and has the original, one of the bathrooms has original tile in it yet. Which is actually, it's
very cool.
It's very cool retro tile. I wouldn't take it out, honestly.
Right.
But still, it's like.
Well, here, this place is circa 1970s.
Absolutely.
I mean, here, that wall, you can see that used to be.
Screams.
Paneling.
Yes, paneling.
Wood panel.
Yes. Pine paneling.
It's white now, and I'm sure they probably buy it from Walmart, from Home Depot to replace it when they have to. But that at one time was that standard 70s pine wall paneling. Right.
Absolutely.
And overall, the place kind of feels that there's vacuum receptacles in the side of the steps over here. Whole home vacuum.
Yep.
At one time.
Probably wasn't there.
Yeah. Yeah, in there, you got one upstairs, and there's one somewhere else, like in here or something.
It's crazy.
But, of course, it doesn't work anymore. There's
of course
no
not.
Attachment to it. But.
I don't know how we got here. But
we got real tangent.
We got all the way. Well, I was coming back to money.
Yeah.
Okay. I always asked my dad this because he never could understand the concept of it's the very first dollar bill, Dad. I'm giving it to you. You're the government. I'm the Federal Reserve. I'm giving it to you, but it's at interest, but it's
You
the
gotta
only
pay me
one that
5 cents back.
exists.
Right.
Okay, but you owe me 5% on this money when I need it back in 10 years from now. You're going to give me a bond, a promise to pay me 5% per year on this $1, but it's the only one that exists. You have to pay it back to me. So how does it get paid back? Well, it's so convoluted, but I just print more money and you borrow more money and then it goes out.
You have the money to pay me back, but you're still going to owe me more.
Correct. It's a never-ending Ponzi scheme.
Yep.
Okay? And then I would ask my dad, now,
Cyclical.
Dad, let me ask you a question. Since you can't seem to grasp this concept that you owe me more than it actually exists, so it's impossible for you to ever pay me back, if the government is responsible for printing all the money and budgeting all the money, why do they need anything from you?
Exactly.
Think about that. Why does the government need a dime from you if they are responsible for budgeting and printing all the money? They could just print to the budget, and that would still create inflation and would still create this problem, but you would have to pay a dime in taxes.
Right. And still, you'd be able to make a living and eat and buy things.
Now we'll open the rabbit hole a little wider. Guess what? Every tax you've ever paid to the federal government does not go to the federal government. Not a penny of it. It is routed out of this country faster than you can say Rumpelstiltskin. And you're going to learn that in the next 3 or 4 years.
USA.
Oh, that's just a money laundering
Yeah.
scheme.
Well, that's one of them.
Well, you know what? Here, talk about the craziness. Last week, this was my favorite thing. I've never.
Cherry is really nice.
I bet you
I
it is.
hadn't actually eaten it yet. I was just sitting.
No,
on
you know,
top
it's
of it.
sitting in this bourbon, and this
Yep.
is this bourbon for whatever reason. Here, this is my everyday favorite bourbon.
Right.
I know you're not a huge fan of it.
No, I do like it. You've actually given me an appreciation for it.
For $25,
Yeah.
you're getting a really good tasting bourbon. That here, there's $30 and $40 bourbons that don't taste as good as this,
Right.
And don't stand up in a cocktail like this has got the proof point to
Right.
stand up in a cocktail.
Exactly.
There's
And
a lot
I
of
started noticing that the proof point. If you have a little higher proof point, even though it might not be the best whiskey, it's still going to accent that cocktail.
correct, as opposed to like there's a lot of bourbons out there that are 80 proof because that's the minimum mandatory to be a
Right.
bourbon. That you start mixing them in a cocktail, and it's the bourbon gets a little lost in the mix.
The taste of the bourbon itself.
Correct.
Yeah.
Where this pulls the alcohol will pull those tasting notes through, and this is
Like
classic
even last
bourbon.
week with the St. Augustine, that little extra 8% made a difference making a cocktail with it.
Absolutely.
And especially the old fashioned,
And I'll tell you what,
concentrated old fashioned syrup.
I'll tell you what, I haven't shut up about that yet.
Really?
Oh yeah, man. I'll tell you what, it's
You take it home and make some for you and your boys.
it's a riff on the old fashioned, but that might be the best riff I've ever had in an old fashioned. That syrup is really good.
Yeah.
So, and it'd be great to taste the bourbon that's barreled in those barrels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The spirit.
Gotta
The $200 bottle spirit.
Yes, got to be really good.
Yeah.
Got to be.
It is. It really truly is. I can't say that it's worth $200 to me personally. It might be worth $200 to somebody.
You know, that's one of those things where you get a mom and pop. I shouldn't call them a mom and pop.
Yeah. A smaller local
A craft distillery.
Yeah, craft. There you go.
A craft distillery that they got to charge that because their cost of production.
Oh
is
yeah,
high.
yeah. Oh, I don't fault them for it at all. I
Yeah,
just
no.
can't
No,
see
no.
myself paying
It's
$200 for that bottle.
It's just that there are bourbons out there that you can get that I know I have not tasted that bourbon, so I can't say really, but.
But
Is it a George T. Stagg or a William LaRue Weller? Probably
No.
not.
But at the same time, I will say this: if you are willing to spend $200 on a bottle of bourbon, go check it out. See what you think, because it might be worth it to you.
Yeah, it might be. Might be.
Yeah,
It's got to be. It's got to be
If I'm
quite
going to
tasty.
spend that much, it's going to have to be on something special, like concert tickets or some shit.
Yeah, something here. We harp about value proposition all the time. That's just not a value proposition.
Yeah.
This is a value proposition. This is a value
Yeah,
proposition.
that's a value. Just like the benchmark over here in that regard.
The benchmark's one of my favorite.
Yeah.
The benchmark bonded is one of my favorite value
There's a
propositions
knife hand again.
that you can get.
And what is the other one? The barrel proof that they have.
If
That's
you
still in that same
it's
general
100
price range,
126 proof, and it's like $24.
Yeah.
I mean,
Value proposition
If you
right
want
there.
a barrel proof, now here, this is one of the things.
If you just want to get drunk, yeah.
If you want a higher
take
proof
less.
whiskey, that's a really good, that's probably for a barrel proof bourbon, that is probably the best value proposition they're out there. Fred Minnick, who's a big bourbon critic, really well known, huge following. He posted a question today actually on X. Said, is anybody buying barrel select or barrel proof bourbons anymore? The market is woken up,
Yeah.
and kind of coming to where we pounce. It's like bottle and bond, 100 proof. That's the number.
Yeah. 100 proof is actually perfect for a cocktail. It really is.
And here.
But if you spend $40 to $60 on a bottle, do you really want to do it in a cocktail, or do you want to just sip it? Right.
You know what? Which is I thought.
And that's where you got to find your own value in that value proposition. What's the value proposition to you?
Next week, you always ask me, what are we doing next week?
What are we doing next week?
I'll tell you what we're going to do. We haven't had a sip in whiskey in a while.
All right. What we got?
We're going to do one of your favorite bottles that we haven't had in a really long time.
Okay. What you got?
Comes in a tube.
E.H. Taylor.
E.H. Taylor.
Oh, yeah. One of my
Colonel
favorites.
Taylor, bottled and bond, the small batch.
Now, what is it that we tasted last time when we did that? Was that
I don't know which
bottled
one
and
did I
bond?
bring.
For our series, right? The bottle and bond didn't we have a Taylor in there?
I did have that bottle in the
That
bottle
bottle,
and
okay.
bond series, yes.
Which is fine because it's always been one of my favorite bottles. This will be the third time that I've had it straight sipping like this,
And it's a butterscotch bomb. It's
man.
I got a good bottle. And all the small batches are really, they're pretty much the same.
When we first came into the apartment to start doing this and started doing the whiskey part, that was one of the first bottles that he brought in.
And I said, oh, you're gonna love this.
You're going to love this one. And the other one was the Sagamore.
Oh, yeah. The Calvados finish.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. All right. Well, so.
Can you believe we had a 3-ounce drink? I'm not done.
You're not done. I am.
I nursed it all the way
Yes,
to the
you
play
did.
out.
Yeah, you sure did. And we did an hour and 10 tonight.
Well, you know what's
so.
really crazy, though? Talk about craziness roundup. We barely scratched the surface of all the material we had. There's just not enough time anymore.
There's not. And also, at the same time, I don't want to focus every show on the
I know.
craziness every time. Because that's not what we're all about right there. It's just kind of, it's a segment. And so, we're going to
What started out as a segment has become three-quarters of the show.
Because of everything that was going on. But at the same time, I kind of want to try to get back to our roots and be more of the just bullshitting part, too.
Yes, we have more fun bullshitting anyway.
Yeah, we did. And we did some of that tonight. Tangents left and right.
We always are tangents. We have fun doing this. I hope you guys can appreciate, and I hope you come and join us because that's what we're really about.
Right. Come see us next Wednesday on YouTube for right now at 8:30 at Loquacious Libations. We will see you again next week.
Peace.
Bye, y'all.